This is FNN, where we get facts, not nonsense. So, last night we had the New Hampshire primary. Donald Trump scraped through against Nikki Haley, while Joe Biden had a pretty comfortable win. So we'll look at the maps. If you check first on the top left of your screen, Joe Biden, so you can see. So he was a write-in candidate, and he gathered about 70% of the vote unprocessed, and other write-ins should mainly go to him. And you can see Dean Phillips won one county in the middle of the state. Besides that, it was all Biden. The Trump-Haley race was actually, I think, a lot closer than people expected. In the middle, you can see a picture of Donald Trump at his acceptance speech. He had a whole gallery of people behind him, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tim Scott, and his son Eric behind him. His victory speech was really more of an attack on people like Nikki Haley, who he wouldn't even refer to by name. He only beat her by about 11 points in the end. And, you know, Haley was looking good. She was actually in the lead for at least the first few minutes of results coming in, but pretty resounding victory. Haley really needed to win that. She felt like she was really going to do anything this primary season. And Trump pretty much put his foot in the ground. Okay, so the U.S. news, big news in stocks. Wasn't really a huge news day in the world. So, starting with Jon Stewart is set to return to the Daily Show on Mondays. This is pretty big. Trevor Noah, who was the real headliner for the last 8 years before leaving South Africa, wrote a great book that you should all read. And he's been a voice of political, movement. He's been very funny. Stocks. Dow was down about 100 points, down 0.3%, down from the record high that it was at. NASDAQ was up 55 points, 0.4%, and it stays where it is. The S&P set another record high. It was up just 4 points in the end, kind of dropped throughout the day from where the futures had it, which was about 40 points above close. Only rose about 0.1%, but still another record high for the stocks. Well, there's been lacking in U.S. news. There's been some solid sports news. So the Milwaukee Bucks, who were 30-13, fired coach Adrian Griffin due to issues with the defense, just general tensions throughout the team. They've hired former Sixers coach Doc Rivers. Alexander Zverev, the German, knocked out number 2 seed Carlos Alcaraz of the Aussie Open to advance to the semis. That was a pretty big deal. Alcaraz really looked behind in all 4 sets, managed to scrape out a 3rd set win, but a far cry from some of his performances over the last year. And 3 guys were elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Adrian Beltre, the former Texas 3rd baseman, Todd Helton, who was a 1st baseman for the Rockies, and Joe Mauer, former number 1 pick about 23 years ago, who was a catcher for a long time with the Twins. And finally, the U.S. temperatures and weather coming in the next few days. Today was a lot warmer day from the U.S., far cry from the last time I presented the temperatures, about 5 to 6 days ago, where international falls is 30 degrees higher. It's a bit above average over most of the country. It's actually pretty cool, but not cold enough to snow. It's really raining over a large swath of the country. If you look at the map down on the bottom left, it says it's going to rain a lot tomorrow. There's a big fog blanket as well. There is another system coming behind it with some colder air to refresh it. And through the weekend, you could be looking at 5 to 8 inches of rain in spots among the south, while maybe a more concentrated 1 to 5 inches around the main world. If you're up Connecticut through some of the more northern Appalachians, upstate New York, and Vermont, you could see some snow. This has been FNN, where we get facts, not nonsense. Thank you for watching, and check back tomorrow for another video.